sun over Santa Esperanza rose slow and heavy, like a burden carried by the sky itself. It was the kind of dawn that promised heat, noise, and the endless hum of life grinding forward. A dawn that knew nothing of mercy. On the corner of Avenida das Flores, a small wooden cart waited silently beside a pale yellow street lamp. The paint on the cart was peeling, the wheels slightly crooked, and the metal pan scarred by years of fire. A faded sign hung from the front, the letters shaky as if painted by trembling hands. Churros do Pai e Filhos. Beside the cart, a man knelt on the ground, tightening a rusty bolt on one of the legs. His fingers were covered in flour, grease, and the faint tremor of exhaustion. This was Mateo Salazar, once known in the neighborhood for his easy smile and warm voice, now worn thin by years of hardship he never asked for. A few feet away, in the shade of a crooked mango tree, sat two wheelchairs. In them were his children. Lucia, age 11, small, quiet, with hair the color of dark chocolate that fell in ringlets over her shoulders. And Tobias, age 9, lively even in stillness, with a smile that tried to be stronger than his body allowed. Both had been paralyzed from the waist down since early childhood, a cruel illness the doctors couldn't name, let alone cure. Their legs remained motionless, slender beneath soft blankets their father tucked around them each morning. But their eyes burned bright with life. Lucia watched her father with a kind of gentle worry, the way children sometimes see the truth adults try to hide. Tobias clutched a small wooden cross that hung from a piece of twine around his neck. It wasn't fancy. Mateo had carved it himself, but the boy treated it as if heaven itself had touched it. "Papa," Lucia murmured, "the leg of the cart is bending again." "I know, mi amor, I'm fixing it," Mateo said, forcing calmness into his voice. The truth, the cart wasn't just bending, it was dying. And so was Mateo's hope. But he couldn't tell them that. He wouldn't. His children deserved better than the weight of their father's despair. He pulled himself up, wiped his hands on his apron, and forced a smile. "There, strong as a bull." Tobias grinned. "Then today we'll sell lots of churros." Mateo looked at the boy's excitement, at the hope burning in him, and for one painful second, he nearly broke, because he didn't even have enough flour for half a day's work. He prayed the customers would appear. He prayed the day wouldn't collapse like so many had recently. He prayed because praying had become the only tool he still possessed that didn't cost money, the only thing he had left that didn't run out. He lit the stove, the oil sputtering softly, and the sweet scent of cinnamon drifted through the street. Lucia and Tobias straightened in their wheelchairs, smiling, waiting for customers who might or might not come. Santa Esperanza slowly awoke around them. Bicycles, vendors, buses groaning under the weight of the morning rush. Neighborhood shopkeepers opened their metal shutters. Dogs barked. The world moved, but not toward them. After 2 hours, Mateo had sold one churro. One! The sun grew hotter. His children shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. The little fan he used to cool them had died a week ago, and he hadn't been able to repair it. By noon, the heat wrapped around them like a suffocating blanket. Mateo wiped sweat from his forehead and tried to stay cheerful. But he saw the truth. People passed without looking. Money was tight. Everyone was rushing. And the sight of 2 children in wheelchairs beside a broken churro cart made some people uncomfortable, as if suffering was contagious. A woman paused, dug in her purse, then shook her head and walked away. A group of teenagers pointed, whispered, and laughed for no reason other than teenage cruelty. A bus splashed muddy water on their sign. The sun wasn't the only thing burning Mateo. It was humiliation. It was failure. It was the slow, grinding collapse of a father's heart. By 3 p.m., the children had wilted from heat and hunger. Mateo had been pretending he wasn't hungry so he could give his portion of food to them. But children know the truth of their parents by instinct. "Papa, when are you going to eat?" Lucia whispered, reaching out with her thin hand. "In a bit, my vida." "You didn't eat yesterday either." He froze. He didn't think she'd noticed. Tobias blinked back tears. "Papa, Jesus sees everything. You can't hide from him." Mateo managed a weak smile. "I'm not hiding from Jesus, hijo. I'm just negotiating." The children laughed softly. A small miracle. But the moment passed quickly as the sun sank lower. Mateo packed up what little had not been sold, which was almost everything. When he lifted the cart to push it home, the leg gave out completely this time. The structure collapsed sideways with a loud crack, sending flour, cinnamon, and the day's unsold churros spilling across the sidewalk. The children gasped. The pedestrians stared. Mateo dropped to his knees. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He simply knelt there, hands limp at his sides, staring at the remains of the thing that fed his family. Or used to. Something inside him broke. Lucia's lip trembled. Tobias clutched his cross. "Papa," the boy whispered. And then, something happened. Something Mateo could not stop, control, or swallow. He wept. Not polite tears, not quiet grief. He fell forward, hands pressed to the pavement, shoulders shaking violently, and for the first time since his wife had died 5 years earlier, he let the world hear his pain. He cried with the raw sound of a man who had been strong for too long, a man who had nothing left to hold. He cried in front of his children, in front of strangers, in front of life itself. And that was when someone stopped walking. Someone who did not pass by like the others. A tall man in a navy blue suit, clean shoes, silver watch, expensive tie. The kind of presence that didn't belong on this side of town. He had stepped out of a black car moments before, preparing to enter a bakery across the street for a quick meeting, but something else pulled him away. He saw the broken cart. He saw the children. And he saw the father collapsed under the weight of a world that had forgotten him. The businessman's name was Eduardo Santillan, a millionaire, owner of one of the biggest food distribution networks in the region, a man whose life had been paved with profit margins, strategic meetings, and silent offices high above the city. A man who did not normally stop. A man who rarely noticed pain beyond what appeared in spreadsheets. But today, something had called him. Or rather, someone. The night before, Eduardo had felt an urge he couldn't explain, a strange, unshakable whisper in his chest, like a voice telling him, "Go to Santa Esperanza tomorrow. Not for work, for someone." It felt absurd. Eduardo never changed plans for feelings. And yet, he went. He told his assistant he had business to check on, though he didn't know why. He only knew that something, someone, urged him to be there. As he watched Mateo now, his heart clenched in a way he hadn't felt since childhood. He crossed the street, slowly, purposefully, as if guided. He approached the falling cart, the spilled flour, the 2 terrified children in wheelchairs, and the man who wept beside the ruins of his hope. Eduardo knelt. "Señor," he said softly. Mateo didn't answer. He wasn't crying anymore. He was shaking. "Señor," he repeated gently, "are you injured?" Mateo lifted his head. His eyes were red, lost, ashamed. "No," he whispered. "Just tired." Lucia spoke, voice trembling. "Our cart broke again. Mateo works so hard. He helps us sell it. We try, but we didn't sell anything today." Tobias swallowed hard. "Papa, Jesus sees everything. You can't hide from him." Eduardo felt something twist inside him, like a rope pulling tight around his conscience. He stood and called to his driver. "Bring the car around and call the warehouse. Tell them I'm sending 2 people to pick up supplies, enough to rebuild a cart from scratch." Mateo shook his head rapidly. "No, please, I can't accept. I have nothing to repay, nothing to offer. Please, señor." Eduardo raised a hand gently. "You owe me nothing. I'm not here to collect anything. I'm here because I was sent." "Sent? By who?" Eduardo hesitated, not because he doubted the truth, but because he wasn't sure how it would be received. Finally, he spoke quietly. "By Jesus."
The world seemed to stop for a moment. The traffic, the heat, the noise, all of it faded. Only those words remained hanging in the air. Lucia's eyes widened. Tobias gripped his wooden cross. Matteo blunked as if unsure he'd heard correctly. Eduardo continued, voice calm, yet trembling with sincerity. I don't know you. I've never been to this street before. I had no reason to come here today. But last night, something told me I needed to be here because someone was suffering. Someone who needed help. Someone Jesus didn't want forgotten. He paused, then looked Matteo directly in the eyes. And when I saw you, I knew you were the one. Matteo covered his mouth with both hands. His breath left him in a shudder. Lucia burst into tears first, then Tobias, then...
The next morning arrived quietly over Santa Esperanza, the sky washed in gentle shades of apricot and lilac. Matteo woke before the sun, as he always did, but this time the heaviness that usually sat on his shoulders was gone. It was strange. His body was exhausted, yet his heart felt light. For the first time in years, he had slept without fear. In the bed beside him, his 2 children still slept, their faces soft with the peace children are supposed to know, the peace that life had stolen from them far too often. Lucia's curls spread across her pillow like threads of ink. Tobias clutched his wooden cross even in sleep, as if he feared losing the very symbol that anchored him. Matteo rose quietly, kissed their foreheads, and stepped outside to breathe the morning air. The sea in the distance glowed faintly under the rising sun. He felt something he hadn't dared feel in a long time: hope. A car pulled up moments later, the same black sedan belonging to Eduardo. The expensive engine purred smoothly as the door opened and a businessman stepped out, looking fresher than someone who had coordinated an entire reconstruction overnight. "Buenos dias, Matteo," he greeted warmly. "Good morning, Señor Eduardo," Matteo said, standing straighter than he had in years. "I hope you rested." Matteo nodded. "Better than I have in a long time." Eduardo smiled. "Then let's not waste the day. We have something important to see." The ride to the warehouse felt like traveling into a dream. Lucia and Tobias sat in the back seat beside their father, their faces pressed to the windows, excitement bubbling through them. "Papa, do you think they fixed it?" Matteo answered, "I think they did more than fix it." "Maybe they made it bigger," Tobias said. "Or maybe it has wings." Eduardo laughed from the front seat. "Not wings, but close." When they entered the workshop, a team of craftsmen stood waiting. Men with calloused hands, broad shoulders, and sawdust still clinging to their clothes. They all stood straight as Eduardo arrived. "Señor Centellan?" "It's ready," Eduardo instructed. "Bring it forward." The large workshop doors rolled open, and sunlight streamed inside like a spotlight revealing destiny. And there, pushed forward by 3 workers, was the most beautiful churro cart Matteo had ever seen. It wasn't just new. It wasn't just repaired. It was a masterpiece. The cart was built from polished mahogany, with reinforced steel legs stronger than anything Matteo could have afforded. The wood gleamed under the light like warm honey, and the roof was covered with a rich red fabric embroidered with golden threads. New wheels, perfectly aligned and coated, rolled silently across the floor. At the top, in elegant white letters, it read, "Churros de la Fe," churros of faith. Matteo covered his mouth, breath caught in his throat. Lucia's eyes widened to the size of moonstones. Tobias gasped so loudly that one of the workers chuckled softly. Matteo approached slowly, as if afraid it might vanish if he blinked.
The cart had compartments for storage, a new fryer made of stainless steel, a small built-in refrigerator for fresh ingredients, and even a panel with adjustable shade for his children. It was perfect. Completely perfect. Matteo ran his hands along the surface, feeling the smoothness of the wood, the strength of the metal, the care poured into every detail. "Señor Eduardo," he whispered, voice shaking, "this is too much." Eduardo shook his head. "It's exactly what you deserve." No, I don't," Matteo's voice cracked. "I'm just a simple vendor." "You're a father who has sacrificed everything, and fathers like you deserve to stand tall." The craftsman stood in respectful silence, touched by the emotion vibrating in the room. "But how can I repay this?" Matteo whispered. Eduardo placed a hand over Matteo's, steadying it. "You don't repay kindness. You pass it forward." Tears spilled down Matteo's cheeks. He bowed his head, overwhelmed, whispering prayers of gratitude. Eduardo cleared his throat softly. "And there's something else." Matteo blinked. "Else?" Eduardo nodded, toward the two workers by the wall. They stepped aside, revealing two new wheelchairs. Not just any wheelchairs. Beautiful, modern, lightweight chairs with cushioned backs, custom footrests, adjustable support, and side trays for comfort. They weren't hospital chairs. They were professional, medical-grade wheelchairs designed to give children mobility, comfort, and dignity. Lucia gasped. Tobias let out a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. "For the children," Eduardo said quietly, "they deserve comfort too." Matteo dropped to his knees, not out of weakness this time, but out of overwhelming gratitude. He kissed each child's forehead and repeated over and over, "Jesus didn't forget us. Jesus no nos olvidó. He didn't forget." The craftsmen cleared their throats, trying not to cry. Even Eduardo blinked away sudden moisture. "Come on," Eduardo said quietly. "Let's take everything outside. Today, you start again." Santa Esperanza had never witnessed anything like it. When Matteo pushed his new churro cart onto Avenida das Flores, people stopped mid-step. Cars slowed. Vendors stared. Children tugged at their parents' sleeves. Elderly women crossed themselves. Shopkeepers leaned out of doorways with disbelief written all over their faces. "Is that Matteo? It can't be. Look at that cart. Is that his children? My God, look at their chairs." The neighborhood, which had watched Matteo suffer for years, now watched him rise. And the effect was instant. People rushed forward. A crowd formed around the cart so quickly that Eduardo's driver had to direct them into a proper line. Churros sold out in minutes. Matteo's hands moved like lightning, shaping dough, frying it to golden perfection, dusting it with sugar and cinnamon, and handing each one over with a smile so radiant that even strangers made them emotional. Lucia handed out napkins from her new chair with pride. Tobias took payments with the maturity of a young man twice his age. Their laughter was a song. Their joy was contagious. Their story spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. A businessman sent by Jesus helped him. Jesus sent someone to lift him. This is a miracle. By late afternoon, the cart was completely sold out. Every churro gone, every ingredient used, every customer satisfied. Matteo stared at the stack of money inside the cash box, more than he made in a week before. His hands trembled. He looked at Eduardo. "Thank you. Thank you 100 times, 1,000 times." Eduardo shook his head. "Thank Jesus. I'm just doing my part." Then he exhaled, as though releasing something heavy. "Matteo, there's something else I need to tell you." Matteo tensed slightly.
About what? He asked carefully. Eduardo took a steadying breath. I didn't tell you the whole truth yesterday. About what I felt a voice saying I needed to come here yesterday. I felt it again this morning, stronger. Mateo frowned. What did it say? Eduardo's voice softened. That my part isn't finished yet. Silence wrapped around them. Eduardo stepped closer. I want to help your children get medical treatment, proper treatment, physical therapy, neurological specialists, equipment, whatever they need. Mateo's breath caught. No, senor, you have done enough, too much, I cannot allow. Eduardo raised a hand gently. You can't stop miracles, Mateo. The words struck him straight in the heart. Lucia's eyes filled with tears. Tobias clutched his cross as if it pulsed with light. But why me, Mateo whispered, flooding with emotion. Why my family? Why would a man like you do all this for nobody like me? Eduardo placed both hands on Mateo's shoulders, firm yet compassionate. You're not a nobody. You're a father who loves fiercely, a man who didn't abandon hope even when the world abandoned you. Jesus didn't choose the rich, the powerful, or the comfortable. He chose you. Mateo broke, wept openly, shamelessly, without fear of judgment or pride. And Eduardo pulled him into a strong embrace, the kind two brothers might share after surviving a battle. From that moment, Eduardo became more than a benefactor.
The sun dipped low over the horizon, setting the sky ablaze with streaks of orange, rose, and gold. The hospital courtyard was quiet at that hour, touched only by the gentle rustle of trees and the distant hum of cars. Inside, the atmosphere pulsed with cautious hope. It had been months since Leonardo and Sofia had received their surgeries, the surgeries that had once seemed impossible for a poor churro seller like Mateo to ever afford. But God had woven a plan far beyond anything he could have imagined, and now the final moment had arrived. Dr. Elias stepped into the hallway with the serene smile of a man who carried good news. Mateo, he said softly, motioning toward the rehabilitation ward. Come in. It's time. Mateo swallowed, his heart a trembling drum. He had dreamed of this day, prayed for it, imagined it again and again with trembling hands pressed together. Yet now, standing at the door of the room where everything might change, he felt his knees weaken. Are they ready? He whispered. Dr. Elias nodded. More than ready. They've been waiting for you. Mateo pushed open the door. Inside, sunlight spilled across the polished floor, illuminating every corner like a divine spotlight. Sofia sat at the edge of the physiotherapy bench, her hands gripping the rails. Leonardo stood beside her, bracing himself, determination burning across his face. Neither of them was in their wheelchairs. For a moment, Mateo froze. His breath caught, and tears rose instantly to his eyes. He felt the weight of years of pushing wheelchairs through mud, years of carrying his children upstairs because no one built ramps for the poor, years of selling churros in the scorching sun while praying silently for a miracle. His children saw him. Papa, Sofia's voice trembled. We can do it today. And we want you to see it, Leonardo added, wiping his own eyes with the back of his hand. You deserve this moment more than anyone. Mateo's heart cracked open. He stepped forward, hands over his mouth, unable to speak. All right, Dr. Elias said gently. Sofia, whenever you're ready. Sofia placed one foot on the ground. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't steady, but it was real. Her legs trembled like newborn branches in a storm. She clenched the rail, breathing hard. Then, slowly, painfully, beautifully, She lifted her other foot and placed it forward. Matteo gasped. A sound escaped him that was half sob, half prayer. Sophia looked up at him with shining eyes. "I'm walking, Papa." And with every trembling step she took, the chains of poverty, pain, and impossibility shattered. Then Leonardo stepped forward. His movement was stronger, faster, more controlled. Months of therapy had turned his frail muscles into determined limbs that answered his commands. He walked straight toward his father. Matteo dropped to his knees. "Jesus, my Lord, thank you, thank you." Leonardo collapsed into his arms, and Sophia reached them a step later, falling into the embrace. A sobbing father held both his walking children for the first time in years. Tears ran freely down his face, falling into their hair as he whispered, "My babies, my beautiful miracles, you're standing, you're walking." "It's because Jesus sent help," Sophia whispered. "And because you never gave up," Leonardo added. Dr. Elias stepped back quietly, giving them space. Even his medical precision, his clinical expertise could not explain what was happening. Surgery alone couldn't explain this level of recovery. Rehabilitation couldn't explain the timing, the perfection, the overwhelming sense that something beyond science had taken place. Something divine. The next day, the hospital received an unexpected visitor. Mr. Calderon, the businessman Jesus had sent, stepped through the doors dressed in a simple shirt instead of his usual suit. His eyes immediately filled when he saw Leonardo and Sophia taking small steps down the hallway towards him. He covered his mouth with trembling hands. "I came because something told me I should," he whispered, overwhelmed. "I wanted to see if the seed Jesus asked me to plant had truly grown." Matteo stood beside his children, his pride shining like a crown. "It didn't just grow," he said softly. "It transformed our entire lives." The businessman knelt before the children, emotion breaking his voice. "Jesus told me in prayer that I needed to help someone I had never met. I didn't know who, I didn't know where. But when I saw you three under that bridge, something inside me burned. Now I understand." Sophia touched his shoulder gently. "You were our miracle, and Jesus was yours," Leonardo added. The businessman bowed his head, humbled. Weeks turned into months, and the miracle only grew. Matteo's churro stand transformed, not because of luck, but because the businessman, now more like family, helped him open a small bakery. Matteo's Sweet Miracles, they called it, written in golden letters above the door. People lined up daily not just for the churros, but for the story behind them. Sophia and Leonardo returned to school, walking in with shaky but proud steps. They became local legends, the miracle children, but they never let it reach their heads. They knew the truth. The credit belonged to God, to the stranger he had sent, and to their father's unwavering love. One afternoon, when the bakery had closed and the sun dimmed behind the hills, Matteo sat outside watching his children chase each other clumsily but joyfully across the garden. He felt a presence sit beside him. It was the businessman. "They're fast," the man chuckled. "They're free," Matteo replied, emotion thickening his voice. A long, peaceful silence followed. "You know," the businessman finally said, "people keep calling me generous, kind, extraordinary." He shook his head. "But the truth is, Jesus sent me because he knew that you were extraordinary. He just needed me to help you see it." Matteo lowered his head, tears slipping down his cheeks. "I am just a churro seller," he whispered. "No," the businessman corrected softly. "You are a father who loved so deeply that the heavens themselves moved." The wind brushed gently past them, warm and soft like a heavenly whisper. Matteo closed his eyes. That night, as the stars bloomed above their small home, Sophia curled beside her father on the porch. "Papa," she murmured. "Yes, my love? Do you think Jesus still watches us?" Mateo looked up at the sky, at the millions of tiny lights in the velvet darkness. "Yes," he whispered, voice full of certainty. He never stopped. Sophia smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Inside the house, Leonardo played on his newly strengthened legs, laughter echoing like music. The world had changed. Their lives had changed. But what remained, what would always remain, was the undeniable truth that Jesus had seen them, heard them, loved them, long before they knew a miracle was already on its way. And through the man he sent, he had turned their tears into triumph, their suffering into strength, their despair into destiny. It was not just a happy ending, it was a divine beginning.